Can a major video game franchise survive without its main character? For so many years, Uncharted has been Nathan Drake. What does a Drakeless Uncharted look like, and why should we want to play it? I was a latecomer to Uncharted. It's only within the past year that I played the original trilogy and moved on to what I consider to be the high point in the series, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Neil Druckmann's influence is apparent in the way that story is told, its willingness to slow down and let an emotional beat land, its focus on love and family. Knowing we said farewell to Nathan Drake, I approached The Lost Legacy with a bit of trepidation. I needn't have worried. The Lost Legacy is a beautiful story, well told, and full of all the action we expect from an Uncharted game. This time around, you control Chloe Fraser, Drake's occasional partner in crime. She's in India, attempting to sneak aboard a truck bound for a war-torn city. Interestingly, Chloe is working with Uncharted 4 antagonist Nadine Ross. The relationship doesn't get off to the best start, but each woman has a reason for relying on the other, and watching the relationship develop from initial mistrust to friendship is one of the highlights of the story. Staying true to formula, our heroes are after an ancient artifact. This time, it's the Tusk of Ganesh, though a man called Asav stands in the way and wants the tusk for mysterious reasons. There are plenty of surprises, very pleasant ones, and the pacing is excellent. I clocked about 6.5 hours on my first playthrough, though I made no effort to find all 100 collectibles. That's shorter than other Uncharted titles, but the pacing is so good that the length feels right. No padding. This game tells its story and ends when it should. Her story may not fill the same runtime as Nathan Drake's, but if you've played any of his adventures, you'll feel right at home controlling Chloe. Jumping, climbing, wall running, and rope swinging, everything feels like you'll remember, which is to say smooth, easy, and excellent. Chloe's only signature move is her ability to lockpick, which primarily comes into play when you stumble across a locked trunk of supplies in the wild. Lockpicking is neat in theory, but it's fairly boring in execution. Rotate the left stick until you feel the vibration, then repeat. I can't say I would have wanted it to be more complicated, but as it is, it doesn't add much to the experience. The nitpicks I have with controls are carryovers from the other titles. It's always been odd to me that these incredibly athletic characters can't jump onto low and accessible rocks. I know it's the developers cordoning you off from areas you aren't supposed to access. I just wish there were a better way to do that. So much of Uncharted is about traversing the environment, and on a few occasions I confused what was essentially background scenery for the critical path, which led to some frustration. Fortunately, Nadine is quite helpful when you get lost. She frequently points out where you need to go and how to get there if the game senses you're stuck. As with the rest of the controls, the gunfights feel the same. Seeing as how top-notch pick-up-and-play gunfighting is something Uncharted is known for, this is a good thing. You only control Chloe, but Nadine does a great job holding her own as well. Speaking of Nadine, she feels pretty alive. Naughty Dog continues to enhance its AI, and Nadine acts like a useful partner instead of a drag. One small but significant enhancement on the AI side deals with Chloe and Nadine's frequent conversations. In games with AI partners, when the characters are engaged in dialogue, I tend to hang back, knowing that if I get into conflict, they'll cease talking and I'll never get to hear what they have to say. The Lost Legacy has a really smart way of handling this. When characters are rudely interrupted by angry rebels looking for a fight, as soon as the fight is finished, the characters simply resume their conversation, while acknowledging they were interrupted. More companies need to pay attention to little details like these. Something Naughty Dog needs to pay a bit more attention to is puzzles. There are very, very few puzzles in this game that don't simply involve turning a picture until it looks correct. As such, you'll spend a lot of time spinning images around and around in order to progress. One puzzle in particular wore me down. You're required to move a handful of objects around a 3x3 grid. These objects cast two different shadows on the walls, which display two different pictures. You simply need to position the objects so the shadows align with the pictures. It's not that complicated, but controlling the pieces requires you to run around the room lifting levers, and what should have been 1 or 2 minutes ended up being about 10. Yes, I accept the possibility that I'm just terrible at Uncharted puzzles. However, even if I were a pro, the setup of this puzzle drags it down. Softening the blow of my apparent puzzle ineptitude is the fact that every environment in this game is gorgeous. From the opening Indian marketplace, to the war-ravaged streets, to the jungles filled with temples and fortresses. This is Naughty Dog at their AAA best. The game of course comes with the requisite photo mode, which I'm terrible at using, but photographically inclined players will get a kick out of it. Animation is consistently great as well. While it's not a leap over Uncharted 4, it doesn't need to be. Uncharted 4 was already stunning. You'll have plenty of sights to take in too, since The Lost Legacy brings with it the largest single area in Uncharted history. Now, it's not Witcher 3 big, but it's Uncharted big for sure. This area gives you access to true side quests, a first for the Uncharted franchise. Traveling around and completing all the optional puzzles not only gives you some interesting story beats and fun conversations, but provides a reward that completionists will find handy. The audio experience isn't quite as soaring as the graphics. The music is good, don't get me wrong, but the themes don't reach the same sonic heights as the previous games. The voice and motion acting, on the other hand, are as good as ever. The main characters all turn in memorable performances. Naughty Dog has gotten their storytelling style down pat, and it's a joy to experience. When you finish running through the main story, the multiplayer should provide you with further challenges. Don't get confused though, this is the same multiplayer found in Uncharted 4. The one addition is the new wave-based survival arena. I can't really comment on that though, as this mode remains offline until the game launches. Bottom line, this is real Uncharted. It may not have been written and directed by Neil Druckmann, but it bears his fingerprints. After this first step in a new, Nathan Drakeless direction, I'm eager to see where Naughty Dog takes us next.